My name is Arthur Ejiofor, and with me to discuss this is
Joy Ugben. It is a program that discusses various national and international matters.
A Nigerian should be able to live and work in a hospitable and safe environment in the north or south or east or west of Nigeria.
You cannot have a country where politicians do things and get away with them and expect that the citizens will do otherwise.
Daily Communion for the love of God and neighbor.
Hello there, good morning, and welcome to yet another interesting episode of our daily program, The Daily Communion, coming and reaching you from the Catholic Television of Nigeria, Abuja. And with me to present this program this morning is
Joy Ugben. Good morning. We've got quite a number of activities lined up to do a bit of entertaining and keeping you informed. Remember that we are now on GoTV channel 115. We begin the show right away with daily affirmation. Afterwards, we'll join Nelly, who is already standing by for health tips. Stay with us.
Matthew chapter 23 verse 6. And they loved the place of honor at feasts and the best seats in the synagogues. Our verse comes from Jesus' attack on the behavior of the scribes and Pharisees. Jesus highlights that they are knowledgeable. They sit on Moses' chair and teach the law. Therefore, the people must listen to what they teach. However, they must distinguish what they teach from what these people do. In other words, people must be able to separate the Pharisees and the scribes' teaching from their actions. Why is Jesus pointing out this weakness in the scribes and Pharisees? Their hypocrisy was the issue for Jesus. That they preach one thing and carry out something else. Instead of leading the people with humility and true act of service, they flaunt their strength and ego. Therefore, Jesus points out the disconnect between external religiosity and sincerity in following God through his commandments. Jesus would further demonstrate in subsequent verses in this chapter that true greatness lies in humble service. Therefore, the greatest among you, he says, shall be your servant, in Matthew 23 verse 11. What do we learn from this verse? First, we must avoid hypocrisy and pride. Many Christians today, including religious leaders, seek places of honor and compete even with politicians in material worth. Some want to take the best places and are offended when they are not recognized in public events. Jesus' disciples must not seek earthly positions and recognitions. Second, Jesus wants his disciples to be servant leaders, not those who lord it over others and flaunt their strength. And finally, Christians and religious leaders must not be power drunk or self-seeking. Instead, they must always think of the good of others and the service of all.
Welcome to our health tips segment. Today we are doing diabetes. Diabetes is a condition that happens when your blood sugar, that's the glucose in your body, is too high. It develops when your pancreas doesn't make enough insulin or does not produce or make any insulin at all, or that your body isn't responding to the effect of the insulin produced properly. Diabetes is a group of metabolic disorders characterized by high blood sugar levels, which can lead to a variety of complications if left untreated or poorly managed. Diabetes is a common condition that happens to people of all ages. There are several forms of diabetes. You have the type A, which is an autoimmune disease which the body's immune system attacks itself. Type 2 diabetes is a type of diabetes that causes a metabolic disorder in your system characterized by insulin resistance, meaning the body's cells becomes less responsive to the insulin in your system, and thereby it impaired insulin secretion. Gestational diabetes. That's a type of diabetes that develops during pregnancy, usually in the second or third trimester. Then you have the latent autoimmune diabetes in adults, the LADA. It's a form of type 1 diabetes that develops in adults, often after the age of 30. You also have the MODY, the maturity onset diabetes, or the young diabetes. It's a rare case, a rare form of diabetes caused by genetic mutations that affect insulin production. Okay, noteworthy is that in our client, type 2 diabetes is the most common. A combination of treatment strategies can help you manage the condition to live a healthy life and prevent complications. Now let's talk about causes, risk factors of diabetes. Genetics, family history, and genetic predisposition can play a very key role in development of diabetes. Then you have obesity, excess weight, particularly around the abdominal area, can increase the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Then you have physical inactivity. A sedentary lifestyle can contribute to the development of type 2 diabetes. You have symptoms, signs, things to look out. Let's talk about increased thirst and urination. High blood sugar levels can cause excessive thirst and urination. You feel like drinking water more often, you drink, and the next thing you are off to go and urinate, you drink, you go to urinate too often. Chances are that diabetes is present in your system. Let's talk about fatigue. Diabetes can cause fatigue, weakness, and lack of energy. You know, a lot of times people will say, I'm so tired, I'm feeling so tired and all that. Check it. If your tiredness becomes too often, there might be tendency that diabetes is present in your system. Then you have blurred vision. Some people, before they read, they have to squint their eyes. I'm not talking about a general eye problem. I'm talking about a situation where your vision becomes blur. Before you look at a thing for a moment, it blurs off on you. Check it. There might be high blood sugar levels. Then you have slow healing of cuts and wounds. Yes, you know the way our body behaves. When you have a cut, you have a wound, sometimes it takes a while, then the body repairs itself. But if the process of your body repairing itself, that the healing of wounds and cuts delays for too much, then there is diabetes can impair the body's ability to heal wounds. Do you know that diabetes, if left untreated, can leave serious health complications? Okay, heart disease and stroke. Diabetes increases the risk of heart diseases and stroke. If you leave diabetes untreated for too long a time, it causes kidney diseases, and these can damage your kidneys and increase the risk of kidney failure. Anyway, if you start to experience any of these symptoms, our advice is for you to seek a health professional, speak to your doctor immediately so that you can properly be diagnosed and treated immediately. Now, We have some foods and exercises you should engage in, and those exercises, you just wait. We'll get to our exercise segment, our fitness segment, and we'll teach you some exercises that you will engage in to keep yourself fit. There you have it. Thank you for joining us on the health segment. Keep watching the program, and we will see you again soonest. My name is Nelly Frank. Bye.
Hello, good morning. Welcome back to our next session with Abba Fitness. As usual, as you all know, we are taking you on a cardiovascular, which I'll be taking you on an advanced program.
When I, Lawa Labra, will be taking you on the modified program.
We are going on high knee tucks, like this.
Hello there and welcome back. We're still on the discussion segment of the Daily Communion on the Catholic Television of Nigeria. Our guest today is Barrister James Ubega, the former president of the National Association of Catholic Lawyers at Abuja chapter. He's going to be talking with us. We're going to have this discussion on the state of emergency, which is trending in Nigeria. You're welcome, Barrister James Ubega.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here today.
I would like to begin by asking the state of emergency. The first time we saw it being declared in the democratic setting in Nigeria was during the time of President Olusegun Obasanjo. And right now in this current administration, it has come up again. Let's start with the necessity. Was it necessary?
Okay, thank you very much. You took us back to memory lane, and it's a good one. Obasanjo started it during the democratic era, followed by Goodluck Jonathan. Or if you look at both, That of Obasanjo, we say it was not the proper one. Perhaps it was not done properly, but at least there was a redress during Jonathan. Now, coming to the question, necessity, is it necessary? Quickly, the proclamation of state of emergency derives power from the Constitution, precisely Section 305, which is a normal. 305 is only like 419 for Nigerians now. Everybody know that section now because of what is happening now. Saying the necessity. If you look at the scenario of what has brought about this current state of emergency, talking from the legal aspect or taking from the scenario that we have seen, because there's a precondition before such proclamation can even come. If you look at it from my own view and from other well or reasonable citizens of Nigeria or even beyond Nigeria, you will notice that this current state of emergency is not necessary. It's not, let me put it, it's not necessary at this time. So just to answer that briefly, it is not necessary at this point because it was uncalled for.
But don't you think if the president didn't go ahead to declare the state of emergency, there would have been a society in chaos? Because that was to checkmate a situation of chaos where order from the judiciary is not being obeyed. The legislative arm of government were not able to carry out their legislative functions, and it was just like the executive were in quagmire, and the president didn't have any other option but to go on that.
Okay, quickly, just a run through of what the provision of the Constitution states in this area. Because you mentioned chaos would have occurred and all that. Yes, as I said, there are preconditions. Section 305, sub 3, A to G states what are those conditions that might warrant us even talking about state of emergency, that might warrant a president, which is at his discretion, which is part of his power. But you can't just say declare state of emergency. There are conditions. And one of those conditions, the premium if Nigeria is at war or any part thereof, if there are indication of a looming danger coming in any part of Nigeria and all that, they are stated as I said from A to G. These are those grounds. Then even coming to, I think, Section 4, also states even the governor of a state, after getting to third majority from the House of Assembly, can also even write to the president and say, give the state of emergency, looking at the situation of things within the state. But looking at this scenario in Rivers State, the way it played out, yes, we've had issues within the last 14 months in the state where they've not been a stable House of Assembly and all that, but that one does not presupposes to say there is a looming or there is war or danger, strictly to say. Yes, there have been political instability, political misunderstanding and all that, but it is not a typical war situation. I know they made allusion to the fact that there was a bomb, a pipeline bomb, which is just one or two. And fine, even a clear investigation has not even come out to say some persons have owned up that this is what they did and all that. Normally, if you look at the one you mentioned, the one of Obasanjo and even that of Jonathan, you will notice this part we talked about, they were practically riot and chaos within the street and some pocket area within those states before those state of emergencies were declared. But in Rivers, if you notice, even the governor of Rivers State was even saying, yeah, is fully ready to abide by rules, the judgment of the Supreme Court and all that. And all this were being, it's not because of, okay, there's one hide and seek here, something being posted on media where we've not seen the real document and all that. But it does not presuppose that there's war in Rivers State. As we keep saying, assuming but not considering there is even war. But does that now translate to you suspending two arms of government?
But from some quarters, we hear that the proceedings for impeachment of the governor, Sim Fubara, the House of Assembly had already started the process. And there are agitations. We even hear from some quarters that militants were already agitating, they had started. And even the pipeline that you just talked about, don't you think that this is enough for him to go declare state of emergency? Because from the look of things, tension was already brewing in Rivers State.
Okay, thank you. As I said, let's assume yes, it's tension and all that, which were not. I said the president has that power as given by the to proclaim and gazette such proclamation and send to the necessary body for approval. But what are we saying? Yes, okay, as I said, assuming those threats and all that came to fore and it's all over there. But does that mean the president should also kill the state totally? Kill in this sense to everything went comatose just because of a declaration?
Everything, how? There's a sole administrator in the state already.
Which is not known to law. It's not even known to the constitution. Jonathan declared state of emergency in those 3 northern states. And the governors were still operating. The whole essence is state of emergency basically saying we are putting more military might within the state to condone to see that peace and unity, cohesion, everything is brought to bear. And not for you to take over the state totally by taking over the executive arm and the legislative arm. That is not state of emergency. That is now going beyond state of emergency. And that's what we are saying here. We are saying no problem. As I said, I agree with you, okay, the president can declare state of emergency based on the power given by 305. However, there are certain conditions. There are certain things he should not go beyond. So there's all, with all what has happened, the president has gone beyond the power that is granted by the Constitution.
Okay, he went beyond. So who is now to correct it?
Basically, okay, that's why this discussion is coming up. If you notice, this is the main discussion within Nigeria now. To correct it, there are a lot of several ways. One, the president can even correct himself. He has the Attorney General, a lot of persons that can guide him. And even if you notice, most of the discussion within eminent juries, eminent senior lawyers, even non-lawyers, they've been talking about it that no, it is not done like this. So the president can still correct himself and withdraw, especially what we're saying, even if you cannot take off properly the state of emergency, what we're saying is the governor of the state and the legislative arm should come back. That suspension is uncalled for.
Okay, in addressing this, if there's an anomaly, would it not be right for either the executive or something from the River State to go through a judicial process that will give a definite and unambiguous definition of Section 305 of the Constitution?
Yes, thank you very much. As we speak, I think the PDP, which is the party of the governor of that state, all the governors are coming together to go to court to, although I know from the media, I think the governor of the state was saying, since he's no longer the governor for now, he cannot be seen as a proper party to initiate this process. But I feel I'm not agree with that argument. You can still, because you said the so-called suspension, which true is also illegal in our own context because it's not known to the Constitution. They can still go to court. As his Attorney General can still sue on behalf of the state, sue the Attorney General of the Federal Republic of Nigeria at the president and all that. And also, he can also even narrow it down to his own self as a citizen, that is the governor, that his fundamental right has been breached. He can still go to court within that arm. I will go to the Federal High Court and say, okay, I am a citizen of this country, and by this suspension, which is not known to law, my fundamental right as an elected governor of the state has been breached. He can go through that route. And also, as I said, governors of that state, there are a lot of cases already in court. So, indigenous from River State, even Sarah and some other people are already in court. But the issue of local standard will come at a point, because when it comes to some people say, okay, do you have the low cost to even bring this matter? But I said those other governors and all that, they can test it in the Supreme Court, because we're talking about a state between the federation and all that. So there are a lot of areas to seek for redress. But the governor himself can seek for fundamental right enforcement. That is no right as a citizen that the people of River State elected have been breached by the president by acting beyond his power within the province of our constitution.
Okay, just to take us back, for some of us, the younger people who didn't witness Obasanjo and Jonathan's regime, can you give us a comparative analysis of what was the difference during Obasanjo's time and this period? Okay. And then Jonathan's time and this period. What were the scenarios that played out?
Basically, that of Obasanjo, I think one was in 2004, that's for Plateau State, where what he did not only declare a state of emergency because of the chaos and the worrying issue. Then it also even appointed a sole administrator to appointed somebody in the stead of the governor of the state. Also, it also repeated itself in Ekiti too. Ekiti was in 2006 or so, and which a lot of persons within Nigeria then came up like, no, this was wrong and all that. This is still military might you are bringing forth because you're a former military leader and all that. But still, most of the talking, history books and all that, it went down the drain before we got back ourselves. Nigeria, I see we forget easily. We continue again. It came up again in time of Jonathan, which was clearly, we noticed the northern part there. I think Yobe, Adamawa, and one other northern state. We had this different pocket of crisis at different parts of, and it came up, and not to fall in the same trap of what happened during Obasanjo, because I think Jonathan was really a student of history. Jonathan did what he ought to do within that. He invoked that power given by Section 305, and which was approved by the Senate then. And what he did with them was to declare a state of emergency where you have full military power within the state, so that then we have different road check, road point, so curfews and all that, from dusk to dawn and all that. So this, at least some of those governors were even happy because this thing came to be. Not it was the crisis were even overpowering them. So, but the presence of military in those states brought back sanity, and gradually the state came back. Compared to what we have now, as I said earlier on, to many of us, yes, there were tension all around because of the way the governor has carried himself, demolishing of the House of Assembly and recognizing just 3 House members, and up until the Supreme Court came up with the judgment and all that. We know that there have been different, and we have different champions of this crisis. Who mentioned the Minister of FCT, different, but the painful thing is what this is were happening. The parties do not even. I was surprised even PDP has not even done it up until now. Because these same persons we're talking about, same members of the same parties having these issues. But the truth is, all these had happened with different tensions, and yes, up until you mentioned the time of the looming impeachment notice and all that, and with all the threats coming from different youth arm of the Ijaws and the Niger Delta people and all that. But still, it does not warrant. Some of us will not see. We didn't see it coming that state of emergency will come for this, because seriously, yes, some people say, you want to wait until they start killing themselves. No, but it should. There's a way you see it. A reasonable man will know, okay, this is what will happen and all that. If you notice here, though, there's one point they said the governor also made one. They alluded to one of a speech talking about crisis or instigating certain people to do certain things at a particular point in time. So I think these are all the conjectures. And that's okay. Perhaps due to counsel or advice to the president by his own team, and he came up with this. But we are saying it was uncalled for. But still, I want to add to it, even if he has used that his discretion as a president to invoke Section 305, it is not. At that point, you would have left it at that point. Let the military come in and see to it that sanction and everything is in place, but not taking over the state entirely. Now, even part of the declaration was the new sole administrator will be reporting directly any regulation. He should come up with regulations that he will transfer to the Federal Executive Council. They will approve and all that, which is not part of our constitution. It is, as I said, it's really, really an aberration. Oh, thank God. The National Assembly, which also plays the role, they also came up with some amendments, but that's another discussion.
Okay. National Assembly. Let's talk about the 10th National Assembly.
Okay.
They have a role to play in this, and they were expected to have voted within 48 hours. And we saw it, we watched everything happen on national television. What are your thoughts on their role?
Yes, on their role, if they had played their role ordinarily according to our constitution, they shouldn't have approved. They shouldn't have approved this. The state of emergency as invoked by the president, or perhaps they should have approved it to the extent to which the approval is just for state of emergency and not to usurp the powers of democratically elected leaders of a state. And we're talking about two arms of government. We're talking about the executive and the legislative arm of government. The way left the judiciary to continue doing their daily activities But we were expecting the National Assembly to play by the books, because even the same Section 305(6)(b) said, okay, once the president has proclaimed, put it in the Gazette, you forward the Gazette immediately to the National Assembly, both the Senate and the House of Representatives. And within 2 days, when they are in session, within 2 days they come up with approval by 2/3 majority. But if they are not in session within 10 days, meaning you try to bring them back in session. So please, because of the exigency, let us try and move. Within 10 days, they are supposed to at least move with 2/3 majority. But what we saw in our Senate was something else. First, some people say quorum or no quorum, but the truth is, 2/3 majority was not formed for them to have even approved what they approved. And they said voice vote. We kept saying, what are you talking about voice vote? I want to consider this very, very crucial matter. 2/3 majority, and they have the schematic, they have the normal e-voting there, where you can say, okay, 1 by 1, I vote, number 2. But they rather use that when they want to do perhaps some of their leadership election within the house. But sensitive matter as this, it was voice vote.
But they took attendance, and they got to test from their attendance according to them.
2/3% attendance is not what we're saying. We're saying 2/3 of those are voted. Okay. Attendance, yes, the speaker mentioned, we have 243, even more than the 240 also that is expected for 2/3. But what are we saying? Somebody was asking, did you see the register? Did you count these people? And also was saying, why don't you say, okay, number 1, 2, 3, this is recounted and everything, there's a computer measuring this. These are the number. These are the way it is being done in other crimes. Forget about other crimes, but reason to tell us this is a very, very sensitive matter. Why don't we do the normal thing? Constitution has said 2/3 majority is not voice vote. Voice vote does not presuppose this is 2/3. Voice vote. Somebody was saying the House of Rep, one of the member of the House was like, everybody, the chorus of yes was unanimous. There was no dissenting nay. Who said no? So persons might decide to abstain and keep quiet. And you cannot even say this. Everybody that said yes, you cannot say. Some people might not have spoken there. But if you had counted and done the right thing, would have moved. But this is what we have today, and if approved it, but as I said, notwithstanding there are a lot of cases in court to see to the whether this has been properly done or not. So
from what is happening now, it's going to be like the judiciary as the last hope of the common man who make some earth-shaking pronouncement that will put this kind of issue to rest once and for all. Is it possible? What do you think should be the right one? What should we be expecting from the highest realm of judiciary? Should this go to them? Given the caliber of justice that we have on those bench now.
Yeah, but I can't. The way the legal profession works is, some people say technicality and all that. It depends on what you bring before the judge. So as some persons, some commentators will just say, no, this judge is biased. They say, no, sometimes you don't even know what the lawyers are, the processes that will file before the court. Your manner of whatever documents you're filing, your prayers matters, your facts matter. So right now I cannot sit down here and conjecture and say, okay, it will come out like this. But talking as a reasonable man, talking as not just as a lawyer, talking as a normal Nigerian that knows the constitution.
The judiciary really shook Nigeria with their pronouncements. Like, give me the case of when they overturned the governorship election in Anambra State. Nobody saw it coming. We had people like Mokhtar there and some other justices that shook the executive. So do we still have those caliber of men and women of wit and integrity that anything can happen?
Yeah, when we talk about integrity, we have men of integrity because they are all men to the bar. They are at the bench too. They are people of integrity. But I said, situation, cases, facts speak for itself. I don't know what they filed at that point that the judgment was overturned at that point. If I were a lawyer in that suit, then I would have been able to comfortably see what transpired there. So I can't just join the general people saying, there was no justice there. Justice the way we see justice now is when it serves you better, you call it justice. But when it's not in your favor, you don't call it justice. So the other party there calls it
justice will not only be served, but must be seen to have been served. So it's not just about what are the expectations. Sometimes national interest might affect the judicial pronouncement. So is it in the interest of the nation that we continue this way where a president goes on and makes proclamation and whatever happens, happens? Or do you think the executive need to be put in their place?
Let me just talk as being positive. Looking at what you're saying, we know this time around, most of the cases that have gone to court now to test what the president has done this time around will definitely put a spade to this issue of Section 305 taking the way they want. And also some people are clamoring also for amendment, further amendment that, okay, if such will be declared in the future, let there be a stop where you can, because since some people say, since it was not mentioned that you cannot appoint a sole administrator, they went ahead to do that. So perhaps the amendment will bring some of all those stop gaps. Say, okay, you also just do, once you declare, the Senate approved, that's all. You don't need to further either taking away the legislative arm or whatever. So I know the court will come up with pronouncement that will help us going forward in the future, so that such we won't be debating this kind of occurrence again in the future. So I am positive that there will be a lot of outcomes that will change the narrative from the judiciary.
Okay. Lastly, if the court fails like this, do you see the president extending this after 6 months?
I don't know what you meant by the court fail us.
Yes, because
so I don't know what you're expecting from the court. You're expecting the court to upturn what the president has done.
Because you said that that was one of the questions you responded to. You said it's not yet late, that the president can still change. So, in essence, if the court should upturn, should we hope that they don't, or if they don't upturn?
Yeah. If either way, even the case, don't be surprised, the case might not even finish even before 6 months. It still depends.
But if it goes
but if it does, if the court, either way, as you're saying, if the court upturns or does not upturn, still, if you notice the amendment even that the National Assembly did to the gazetted information that was sent by the President to the National Assembly, they are saying that it's not cast on stone that it must be 6 months, that if there's improvement and all that, that this state of emergency can be taken off. So, and you notice they also come up with committees meeting and saying to, it's more like more political now. And the political angle of it now is being taken care of gradually. So I think we'll be surprised if they come to an EDM, then this might not last 6 months. But if not, the president still has the power based on that situation to also do further an additional 6 months. So, but let's hope. Sorry, on the last one, let's just hope that the judiciary will change the narrative.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Well, we've been talking with Barrister James Ugeda, who is the former president of the National Association of Catholic Lawyers, Abuja chapter. And this has brought us to the end of this segment of the show. We'll go on a quick break right now, and when we return, Daily Communion continues. Stay with us.
My name is Bishop Anthony Adaji, the Catholic Bishop of Ida Diocese. I am watching Catholic Television of Nigeria.
I think it will be an understatement to say that I'm very happy that today we can say we have a Catholic television that is operating and that is serving not only Catholics but Nigerians, especially those who have access to it. And therefore, it's a thing of joy for me.
You are watching CTV.
I am Professor Gregory Ibe of Gregory University Uturu. Of course, you know I'm the Chancellor and Founder. The only way to have the best in terms of electronic media is to join all our hosts in Catholic television. Catholic television will help your kids, will mold them, and will deliver all the best content meant to educate them. Keep watching Catholic Television.
A state of emergency is a situation where government takes extraordinary measures to address a crisis or an existing threat. This grants the government expanded power to protect citizens and maintain order. There are certain circumstances that can warrant the declaration of a state of emergency. For instance, the state of federation should be at war. The state of federation is in imminent danger of invasion or involvement in a state war. There is actual breakdown of public order and public safety in the state or federation or any part thereof to such extent as to require extraordinary measures to restore peace and security. On the 18th of March 2025, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu declared a state of emergency in Rivers State. Was the declaration the right call? Some notable Nigerians, amongst whom are the ex-president of the Federation, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, Nobel Prize winner Wole Soyinka, have condemned the declaration. A Port Harcourt-based legal practitioner, Prince Will Dike, who is hailing the declaration of emergency rule in Rivers State, saying President Bola Ahmed Tinubu acted proactively to prevent looming anarchy and bloodbath in the state. Other reactions include a crisis between those who seek to keep Rivers State under unconstitutional control and those who do not agree with the unconstitutional rule. In another development, the organized labor in Rivers State has threatened to embark on strategic union actions that could disrupt national economic activities if President Bola Ahmed Tinubu fails to reverse the emergency rule imposed on the state. Rivers State is a victim of political power play. The mishap in Rivers State started with the battle of supremacy between the governor, Siminalayi Fubara, and his supposed godfather, Nyesom Wike. The suspension of the governor and the state assembly may be considered strategically expedient, but will it address the fundamental issues at stake?
Well, no, I don't live in Rivers State. If you meet the, I mean, look, this is politics. And very often we ordinary people cry more than they bereaved. The important thing is that politicians will fix their problems. Rivers State is a place that is very dear to me because I've been associated with them for a very long period of time. But look, I mean, when politicians fight, don't get carried away because they have their capacity to fix their quarrels.
Borrowing a phrase regularly used by Archbishop Ignatius Kaigama, there should be a call for introspection on the part of all stakeholders. Any proposed solution to the crisis must carry everyone along, address the underlying issues and grievances, restore trust and goodwill, and must transcend partisan divides. This might be the only road that will bring about a lasting solution to the Rivers State crisis.
Hello, viewer of Catholic TV. By God's grace, we are proud students of St. Columbine Secondary School, Igwe, in Obotokara local government area of Akwa Ibom State. We are original. We are uniquely unique. We love and endorse Catholic television. Yay!
You are watching CTV.
Thank you for staying with us and welcome back. We're still on the program, The Daily Communion, with Barrister James Ugbeda, the former president, National Association of Catholic Lawyers, Abuja chapter. Barrister, so we'd like to find out at this point, because there have been a lot of intricacies behind the proclamation of the state of emergency. What is the role of godfatherism in this whole saga?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Going the way of godfatherism now, we're leaving the legal aspect now, more or less tilting towards the political aspect, and which I'm apolitical, I'm not a politician, but still, having said that, you know, in short, every Nigeria, by implication, we are politicians, we are political animals, because we discuss political issues every day. So if I would just, godfatherism, if you look, what led to whatever we're having in Rivers State now is all came from godfatherism. And quickly, you will not forget easily that the whole thing is all boils out from the issues between former Governor Wike and the current the Governor Fubara. And so I don't know the nitty-gritty, the details of what transpired, but you know there's a godfather issue and a godson issue, because it's all obvious that the coming of Fubara was as a result of the support of Wike, and they are now at peace now, and this has led to where we are in Rivers State. So godfatherism truly is not a good path to follow in politics, especially in our Nigerian politics, because many a times you see most godfather will want to dominate over their godson or goddaughter, as the case may be. So godfatherism is not a way to go, but the truth is it will be difficult to erase that from our politics. And to put it straight, yes, the issue we're having today is as a result of, let me call it, bad godfatherism.
And this is not the first time it's happening, because it has seemed it's a recurring factor in the electoral process in Nigeria. There's always an issue between the predecessor and the successor. You know, it happened in Lagos, it is happening now currently. I mean, even with the present the president in the seat of power, the clash between him and Fashola, the former Minister of Works and the former Governor of Lagos State, and it's happening now. Is there any way such could be handled? We're not hearing this in other climes, like in the US, where the people were copying their form of democracy.
So the only way, yes, you mentioned other climes, but the truth is, there's hardly no way, but maybe they don't call it godfatherism. At times, some people call it mentors, and so when you call it mentors, it sits well, it looks decent. But in our own part of the world now, we call it godfatherism because there's this ego attached to it, and there's this psychological feeling when you say, I'm the godfather of this person and all that. You know, the godfather we know is the godfather for baptism and godfather for and all that. But for politics, if it's not called what it's supposed to be called, they don't feel, you can't just say, it's my mentor, it's my political mentor. When they say my political mentor is mild, but they prefer the godfatherism and all that. But as I said, there's the positive side of godfatherism and there's the negative side. We also have good godfatherism and we also have bad godfatherism. Some persons still to today, they call them, they are just like a governor of Akwa Ibom. He was given an award in this day award that was conducted in Lagos last month or day about. On the stage there, he said he dedicated it to the state, Akwa Ibom, and also to his godfather, the man that picked him when nobody saw him, Governor Odom, the man, his own predecessor. So you see, perhaps I'll call it perhaps for now, say good. Even though if there was an issue, he wouldn't have done that. So there's some godfathers that are the positive type that are cordial, but we don't know the terms of the godfather and godson. Perhaps that of Rivers State, the terms were not followed by the godson, or the godfather deviated. So somebody deviated from whatever they've agreed. Because for you to own up somebody as my godfather, then there's some terms you must follow. There's some obligation you must fulfill. But once you're not doing it, you're not the person your godfather. Perhaps your godfather is that calm type. But if your godfather is that kind of wicked, you know you are in for it. So the issue of godfatherism should be jettisoned. We should be killed totally from our politics, because it's really killing our politics. Most of issues you have between predecessors and successors and all that it's because of, yes, there's something you said at the point, but somebody is not following again because I brought this person there, and that boils down to the fact that our elections are not credible. Because if truly people, the electorate, you sat or you contested and the electorate voted for you, not waiting for one person to pay for you, to buy tickets for you and all that. You won't be ascribing it to one godfather. And but if you have come plainly, I think maybe we'll get that until when we start doing individual contestant, where you don't go through a party or go through, when you can gather your own momentum and apply and contest. So maybe when we get there, then this idea of godfatherism will go down gradually. And also when the whole process of vying or applying the monetary aspect is brought down to the barest minimum, then you see the whole aspect of godfather will wither off. Because now, just to get a form alone, I think you want to say 100 million, where will you get that money from? That's why you now run to look for who will be my godfather. But when you say no, it's very paltry sum. You see people, and you can apply without even going through a political party, individual contestant. Then you see gradually those powers of godfathers. Then maybe then you start hearing something like decent name, like mentorship. Someone that will mentor people that truly, when you're coming there, you're coming to work for the people. You're coming to at least change the narrative for the good of whatever state you find yourself. So I think at that point we can start getting it right.
Okay. I want us to take a look. We are still going back to the judiciary.
Yes, please.
The Rivers State House of Assembly, the lawmakers.
Yeah.
They decamped from the People's Democratic Party to APC. And Governor Fubara declared their seat vacant. I thought that it's expected that since they decamped from their party, they should lose their seat. But how this case was handled in the court and they were reinstated, what are your thoughts on that?
No, Governor Fubara cannot even declare their seat vacant. It's not doing his own power too. More so, yes, looking at it, every normal Nigerian will see that they came up, they even carried the broom and all that. They said they are no longer. Some even went as far as even showing to an affidavit that they are decamping to APC, which was in the glare of the social media, to the graphics, print media, and all that. But the Supreme Court, in their wisdom, has said, even the cases that came before the Supreme Court, there's no way that it was shown that these persons, they now carry a new ID card stating that they moved. There's no way they show that their name is still in the register of PDP. So that alone, even if I come and stay anywhere and say I'm now a PDP member, but my name is not in the PDP list as a member, then it's ipso facto says you are still APC member. So that's what, in the wisdom of Supreme Court, this person, whatever you call, whether they are somewhere brandishing that they are, but there's no thing before the court anywhere to show that they are now APC member. Their name is still in. So perhaps if the members, if the PDP at the grassroots in Port Harcourt had expunged their name from the list, and this fact are even before the court, then so yes, normal human beings, normal people like us who saw them on these people have the camp and all that, but the law is blind, does not see what I have seen before me as a judge. Yes, they said it. Yes, they even put picture that they snap, but what I'm saying, there's still a record of PDP. Their name is still in PDP, but the record I see for APC, their name is not there. So, what am I saying? They are still PDP. So that's what the Supreme Court tried to say there. So whatever, it's not sentiment. I know you feel bad that, no, but we saw it on there. But no, we're saying there was no proof to show that they have now been absorbed into APC as members carrying the card of APC or in the register of members, because their name is still in PDP. So that's what the Supreme Court says. So whatever, though the matter is still in Federal High Court in but if it will, even if you move it to get to the Supreme Court, what we have before us, because nobody has shown that there's one place that there's a register that their name is in APC. There's nothing. And even if their name will be in APC, it will be from APC in Rivers State, but there's nothing like that. It's still PDP in Rivers State that their name is in. So that's just so, but still, I haven't said that, but I know Fubara came up, no problem. Supreme Court, I said, I'm ready to go by Supreme Court. And before the back and forth of, I want to present the same budget, they are not there today and all that. That's where the godfatherism aspect was playing and all that. And before the president, in his own wisdom, using the sledgehammer to kill a fly, I know he has tried based on the mediation and all that, but at least he would have done more, but not to the level at which they are done. At least the history book will not forget this. Just the same way we're making reference to the beginning of the democracy in 1999, that of Obasanjo, that of Goodluck Jonathan, and that of Tinubu now will be on record, because this one, we're thinking we should be going for or not to go back, because Jonathan never did this. Jonathan declared state of emergency without touching the legislature or the executive. Governor was still running their government, but the military were fully on ground to forestall whatever war or whatever chaos that might come up.
If you are in a position to talk with the governor, the suspended governor of Rivers State, Sim Fubara, and the present minister of FCT, what will you tell them?
So me, I'm a man of peace. What will I tell them? Definitely, you can't take it. There is more. I won't call it a godfather, a godson. There is a leader, and there is perhaps a junior leader. Fine, Fubara is the governor of Rivers State now, but I feel you stoop to conquer. They will not stop. There's nothing stopping him now. But I don't know. I don't know the details of their agreement that has caused the issue now. But you can still. I think I just sit down and watch and say, can't Fubara just go back again and say, okay, my leader, I'm sorry. If you notice, if you check when he won, you see the way he almost prostrated in front of. There's a clip they show that day that they declared the election. He went down as if he almost prostrated on his knee before. He's on. Even I watched it via one of this TV this morning, and so I don't see anything wrong in going back to that same man. And I know Wike is somebody that wants something like that. I feel if you go back and say, okay, let us leave this, he might just do his normal bossy, this okay, yes, and tell the whole world, yes, he has come back to beg. It will not kill you, it will not end anything. But I said, perhaps it's bigger than what we are thinking or what we are seeing. Maybe there is more to it. Some persons might say, okay, there's some people from other places say, I know he wants. Wike was on which one of the channels was saying the other day. They said because they said he should be given a certain amount of money. He's not asking for anything, but we don't know the detail. So maybe that's what Fubara is running away from. Maybe there's certain money that will be going somewhere. But Wike has also said there's nothing, he has not demanded anything, but it's just the right thing to be done. So if truly that's what we're saying, Fubara should go back and apologize and say, my elder brother, I don't know, let's go back, let's continue this with the way we were before now. It's all, we all know that it's coming into power was as a result of Wike, the abracadabra that went on in Rivers State. Somehow he won. So go back there and say, see, I've heard, forgive me. There's no need to start, then let's move on. I feel with that, Wike can, if reason would prevail, can just say, okay, yes, tell the whole world that he has come back to beg me, let's move on. So I feel that's where we're headed, and perhaps that's why they're coming up with these committees and all that. I just hope within these few weeks, we should be able to get to that point.
Okay, lastly, let's go back to the National Assembly. You talked about them adjusting some laws when the president forwarded the Gazette to them. Do they have the right to do that?
Thank you very much. Quickly, so I don't know, most people are not looking at that aspect. People are just looking at the aspect of two-third majority, not what, but Section 3056B, as I said, quickly say, okay, once the president immediately transmits the gazetted proclamation to the National Assembly, they have 2 days to approve. They say they have 2 days to amend and approve. So there's no power for even the National Assembly to approve. What they are supposed to do, yes, saying rubber stamp, for them to look at it, is either we are voting for it, yes or no. But because they know what they already have in their own mind, because a lot of them, there's been a lot of talk around before this thing happened, they still went ahead. Because if you know what the president, part of what the president gave in his proclamation, as I said earlier on, that the administrator will make laws, regulation, and send to the federal executive where they will approve and what. But the National Assembly, because Section 11 gives the National Assembly the power to make laws where any state within the federation has an issue of not being able to make laws as House of Assembly, perhaps there's crisis, they take over so that there will be continuous lawmaking in the state. They are saying, no, the president cannot give such power to the administrator. So first, there's no even room for administrator in the constitution. So that means it's even wrong ab initio. But they went in their own voyage and said, no, yes, we're agreeing to your proclamation, but please, this power you are giving to your administrator to give you regulation, no, it should come to us. We're invoking our own part of Section 11 that says So they amended that part. They also amended the part of a committee creation and all that. They also the aspect of the president says for 6 months. They are now saying no, the 6 months should not be cast on stone. The 6 months should be subject to the outcome of peace talk and all that this committee that has been formed. So they made amendment, but they don't. To state it, I'm talking based on the constitution. They don't have that power to make amendment. You are amending a gazette from the federal government, from the president. So now, this was done with the second day of proclamation, and there was no way they told us. They went back. They took the amended gazette to the president to, the document did not emanate from you. You amended it, and at the same time you approved it. No, you should have gone back to the same person that gave the gazette to the promotion and bring back before you. So they also acted. See, the president acted overboard. Even the Senate, National Assembly did the same thing, and which is to me, as my own NBA president said at one of this, that in short, Ab Initio said there was nothing on what they've approved nothing, because there was nothing even before they approved. What the president did, we are saying, is even against our constitution. They are not saying they even approved. But I said, political angle has come into it, but legally speaking, the process so far has not been proper based on our constitution.
Our time is fast spent, but I still want you to say this in 60 seconds. In all this declaration of emergency, suspension, Wike, Fubara, National Assembly, Presidency, Judiciary, do you think they have our interest at heart? The interest of the people. Yes,
if you look at it, people will say, the president has the interest of the Rivers State at heart. If not that they were almost impeaching the governor, and that it would have caused a lot of issue and all that. But I will not just clearly just say, yes, they don't have our interest at heart. Yes, I will say they have, but to an extent. They have to an extent. But the larger part of whatever is happening is to the interest of personal people within personal realms, both political party, both government offices. But if you wait, the greater part is for politicians and for their own personal gain. The lesser part is for the people. So when you look at it, then you say largely is for their own pocket, most of this, because there's even talks that there's some funds that went to some pockets. But some persons were saying, no, it was also Ramadan, this is they gave some people for fast. But where are we? So I said, wait, the larger part is for the politicians playing whatever they are playing now. But we, the populace, the citizens of Rivers State, are the people suffering.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
This is where we come to the end of the show. You quite agree with me that the conversation was worth your time. So you stay with us next time, tomorrow, when we continue. Joy?
I remain Joy Ubem, and we will definitely be back first thing 7 a.m. tomorrow morning for a fresh episode. Remember to follow us on our social media handles being displayed on your screen. And we are also on GoTV, I beg your pardon, channel 115. Enjoy the rest of the day.